Hello seniors, welcome to my channel Retirees Nigeria, a channel where I talk about everything that concerns the senior citizens in Nigeria. And in this video I want to talk about how senior citizens can cope with the loss of a loved one, especially the loss of a spouse. This video could also be helpful to those who have lost anyone that is a loved one, irrespective of your age. My name is Dr. Dorothy Esse. When a person loses something, anything at all, that he or she has invested time, emotions, energy, dreams on, that person who has lost that thing will experience some grief. And the reason is that grief is a natural reaction to any kind of loss. It need not be a human being. And grief often has impact, on our physical health at any age. But the older a person gets, the higher the risk of severe health problems as a result of grief that is caused by the loss of a loved one or anything that is precious to your heart. The increased stress level, combined with their, whatever state of health they are in, and then their natural physical aging processes, it makes, the feeling of grief to be severe for the elderly. So when a senior loses a spouse to death, a spouse that is a loved one, their life changes. The level of pain actually depends on the relationship that existed between the couple at the time of the loss of that spouse. And the feeling of pain of that loss can be both physical and it can also be emotional. The grieving may cause one to cry easily and often. It can also affect a person's sleep, as you may not be able to sleep, as you used to before that loss. The person may also lose interest in food. And you also have problem with concentration. They may also have a hard time making decisions at that stage. So all of these feelings, they say are normal, and with time, sooner or later, the person who has lost a loved one begin to feel better. But for some people, it does take a much longer time. Some people could grieve for years, while some, after 1 year, they begin to feel better. As time passes, you may still miss your spouse, but the intense pain that you feel at the time that that loss occurred may begin to lessen. So for such people, some days may be good, some days may be bad. And for those who are really feeling the loss and who are not coping well with it, the days that are bad are usually longer than the days that are good. But you will know that you are feeling better when there are more good days than bad days. Because if there are more bad days than good days, then it means you are not actually coping very well. If you are one of those, who is coping well, don't feel bad or guilty when you are able to laugh at a joke. It means you are recovering from that grief and that loss, and learn to enjoy it. I'm sure the person that you have lost would love that you could go on living and miss them less and less. It is understandable to, it is important to understand that the feeling of loss is natural, and getting better is also natural. So overcoming grief, though it takes time, it is something that you should embrace. So as a senior, if you are retired, at this time, you usually have more time on your hand, because you know how it is when you engage yourself in activities for that period that you are engaging yourself, you tend to think less of your loss. But if you are retired, you now have more time on your hands to grieve, and it's not good for the health. So because some people actually at this time, they wallow in self-pity, and which could lead to depression. We all know that. So there's therefore the need, for deliberate action on your part to avoid that state of mind called depression. So let us look at some of those actions that you can take to enable you grieve less. That's to feel the pain less, for your sake, for those who are close to you, for their sake. Because if anything happens to you, other people will start grieving for you as well. But we pray that it does not come to that. So some of the things you can do: first of all, remember to take good care of yourself, which is very obvious. You already know that grief affects how you feel emotionally, but you may not realize that the stress of the death of your loved one or your grief could make even you sick. So make conscious effort to eat well, and move yourself out of your room. Take short walks. Could be around your compound, or maybe on your streets, or anywhere you can, just walk around to get, as little exercise as you can, or as much exercise as you can. And this will also help you to get sleep, because when your body is exercised, you may want to fall asleep because you get tired. And also, as early as possible, you need to get back to doing those things that you used to enjoy, even if it is gradually. That's after your mourning period. Even within your mourning period, you could be doing them inside your home, for your health's sake. If you like going to the movies, for example, or you love to read, or you love to jog, try to start doing those things early. Get back to what you used to do before, and start to live again. Make conscious effort to start receiving visitors, like your close friends or relatives who wish to spend time with you. At this time, family and compassionate friends can be a great support for you, truly. So if a friend or a family member, informs you that he wants to come for a visit, just to keep you company or to see how you are doing, do not reject the offer, even though you want to be left alone. Because I know many people wish to be left alone at this time of their lives, but it's not wise. So if somebody offers to come and spend time with you, just accept that invitation. It makes them feel good, and you will see that you feel better after you have done that a number of times. Because initially the thought may come that you don't want any visitors, but make an effort and let people come. They talk, even if you are just sitting there just saying yes and no, but try to be part of conversations, if any. Okay, and then if you have children, you need to talk with your children. Have conversation on how they are feeling, express how you are feeling also. Do that from time to time. If your children are not at home, you can reach them through phone calls, and when they call you, you should pick your calls. If you miss the call, you should call back. Just make little efforts to engage yourself in certain things. And also, when during this period, it's not the best of times to make major decisions. So while you are still mourning, if possible, try to delay major decisions that needs to be made till a later date, when you are in a good frame of mind. Honestly, major decisions should wait, I emphasize, a little later, because at that time you'll be thinking more clearly, not when you are in grief. And try to keep to the routine that you used to have before your loss. Keep busy, doing things around the house. And for a while, family and friends may be around to assist you, but you know that the time will come, definitely, when you will have to face the changes in your life by yourself. So you need to maintain that your routine that you had before. And do not let yourself fall into the trap of drinking, taking to alcohol to forget your loss or sorrow. It can be, a health risk. And then try to keep to the routine that you used to have before that loss. You know, keeping to your routine keeps you busy. So, and then some widow or widowers, you know, they lose interest, you know, in even food that they eat. Why? Because probably they used to eat with their spouse when he was alive, and now they have to eat alone. Well, you cannot avoid that. But you could invite somebody over to come and eat with you. But you can't be doing that all the time. So you have to learn to eat by yourself. If you feel that the house is probably too quiet for you to just eat alone, you could put on your TV and watch some programs while you are eating. So it keeps you, you know, it makes you feel as if there's somebody around while you are watching your TV and you are eating. And many people who are grieving find comfort in their faith, which is very good. You know, praying, talking with others who have the same faith with you, reading religious and spiritual texts, and also listening to uplifting music. All of these bring comfort. So if you are a religious person, this is the time to get really close to God. Another way to overcome grief easily without allowing it to affect your health is to face your future, you know, without being scared. Because, you know, there are many people actually who move into their husband's house, or even men who got married straight from their parents' home. You know, they got married, then they got their own place, and they started living together. So for these people, it will be very difficult for them to adjust, but what can you do? You have to adjust. So being widowed, retired, and all your children have left home, the loneliness is actually much. And if care is not taken, you know, it will lead to something else. That is why you see some people, when their spouse dies, within a few months or a year, they themselves, they follow. And some people say there is a myth. Some people say it is love. The truth is that it is the grief of that loss that makes them, you know, it kills them. It affects their body, and they also die. So that is why I say you should avoid, you know, all of these things, and try to, you know, do all of these things that I've talked about to enable you get out, you know, of that situation. You need to be prepared for difficult events that will trigger your memories and sadness, you know, about your spouse. And this usually happens, so be prepared for it mentally, like during anniversaries, you know, those things you used to do together, or when you go to a place that you used to go with your spouse, you know, the memories will come back and you start to feel unhappy again, and learn to overcome that. So when you are feeling more up to it, then you can now start settling personal affairs. It can be hard because it will bring up memories, but it is important to get things in order for yourself, like settling certain debts, you know, that needs attention. You need to settle them, you know, like payments that are outstanding, some other costs, and some other affairs of your deceased spouse or partner. And then if there are major changes that needs to be done, you could call upon your children or some close members of the extended family to come together and assist to have a conversation about the issue. And then at a reasonable time, you know, that you think is okay to have mourned your loved one, you need to start thinking about going back to your social life on your own, which you are doing with your late spouse. So you need to go back to that, but now you are doing it alone. But know that other people have passed through this stage of life and they coped well. So you can join the list of those, you know, who lost a spouse and is able to cope reasonably. So you can try joining any group that you think you will enjoy their company, like a group that takes turn to meet each other, you know, in their homes. There are groups like that. or you can start you can start going to take a class for something that you have been planning to do all along, but you felt you didn't have the time. Like you can take a language class, go and learn French, you could learn the German language for the fun of it. And you know, when you are there, you are going to meet, you know, other people too. You meet retirees, you meet the elderlies, and then you make new friends. And then you need to stay occupied, because the truth is that at this time of your life, as a senior, most likely you'll be retired. So if you have the strength for it, you could ask your children to drop off their kids, probably on their way to work. They drop them off, they keep you company, and you also help to, you know, look after them. It's also a good way to bond with your grandchildren. I'm talking about keeping you occupied. If you can afford it and you are an animal lover, you could add a pet to your household to keep you company, because when your house is too quiet, if you have a dog or some other pets, that's another way to keep you company. Or you could also ask that a relation come to live with you, you know, for that period or permanently, so you have somebody around the house if your children are all grown up and they're on their own now. Also, at this time, try to stay in touch. Stay in touch with your family, stay in touch with your friends. Do not withdraw yourself as a result of your loss. You could stay in touch with them either online or in person. They come to visit you, you go to visit them, you can call them, or you can join their groups, social groups, Facebook, WhatsApp, and the rest. Okay, so, and I want you to take note, you know, of this. There's a condition that is called complicated grief. Complicated grief. This grief, type of grief, does not affect everyone, but it affects some people who do not handle their grief very well. For this category of people experiencing this condition, they are not able to comprehend the loss that has occurred properly. They usually experience intense, prolonged grief, and they have trouble resuming their normal lives. So if you are experiencing overly negative emotions, you tend to avoid places that you used to go to with your spouse, and you seem to have lost purpose in life, or you cannot find meaning in life after the loss of your spouse. That is, you seem not to be interested in those things, you know, that you love to do prior to the loss of your loved one. You may have fallen into this category that is called complicated grief, and you need to overcome this grief fast. At this time, when you see that you are grieving so badly, you need to seek professional help. Please ensure to see, you know, your doctor or a qualified counselor. It could be a counselor. You know, in our environment, we don't have counselors. You know, they are not easy to come by, but these days we begin to see them online. So if you cannot find one that you can meet face to face, then you should go online to search for one. Do not go through this stage of your life alone if you think that you are not coping well, because there are some people who usually don't have many relations around them, and if you see some people, their children are probably living in far distant places, so the only time they have contact with these children is, you know, through phone calls, and then they are so lonely and grieving badly, and sometimes they want to talk to somebody, they don't even can't find anybody to talk to, because most people around are busy. And you know, in some neighborhoods, you don't have neighbors asking after one another. So after the whole burial event is over, everybody go back to their lives as usual, and you are there feeling lonely and sick with grief. And when you see that you are not coping well and you are not getting out of your grief well, then please go seek, you know, professional help. If you don't see any counselor, go and see your doctor. Maybe they'll be able to recommend somebody for you. Do not go through this alone, I repeat. One thing seems to hold, universally true. They say time heals. Time heals. And we human beings, we are resilient creatures with the power to find joy and new meaning in life, even after a painful loss. So within 6 months, actually, after a loss, and with some effort on your part, you should actually begin to feel better. And I said begin to feel better. It's not that you have gotten over the loss, but you begin to feel better. And that's with effort on your part. You need to deliberately focus on the good memories of your loved one that has passed, and deliberately harbor positive emotions about that loved one. And then this is in addition to keeping yourself occupied and then helping yourself to find the peace that you deserve. If you are watching this video and you know a widow or a widower that you suspect is going through what is called complicated grief, you can help by simply drawing their attention to that fact, because some people may not even realize it. They are so engulfed in grief that they don't even know that their case is more than the ordinary. Because if money is a bit too much, then it gets unhealthy. So let him or her, whoever that person is, let them know that they need to get professional help. You can go further by informing any of the adult children who may have thought that they are grieving, that the grieving of their parents is normal. So this is it for this particular video. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you have not subscribed to my channel, and like this video if you find the content interesting. I hope to see you again in my next video, where I shall talk about an equally useful topic for seniors. So until then, it is goodbye from me, and thank you very much for watching. So bye.